Recently, everyone has lost their mind, which I would think is some sort of psyop, if not for social media and the monetization of it being a very effective way with the rage bait and stuff that people make, whether it's gender or color or religion. And like, I've made my own sort of thing, but I don't really consider it as rage inducing. Like, I'm trying to fight for sanity, really, more than trying to teach people to be angry and to attack people. That's the opposite of what I want. And that's what this video is about. Recently, OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, was attacked, and the person was charged with attempted murder, Daniel Moreno-Gama. And he had expressed, he was part of like a anti-AI, a Stop AI, it's a grassroots movement opposing AI, which all of this anti-AI stuff, like, I understand it, but at the same time, did anyone ever care? Like, this is what I always say. Did anyone ever care about the horse rancher? Did anyone ever care about the carriage maker? Did anyone ever care about the coachman? No, you cared about the end result, the car. You don't care about technology advancing. You care about being inconvenienced. You don't care about the poor chef or the waitress or whoever's shipping the food or the farmer or whatever. You care about getting your made in China dehydrated noodles, which you are then going to put into, which are made in a factory, and then you're going to put them into a microwave. That's what you care about. Your convenience, your life, personal life. That's what people care about. So this anti-AI thing, to me, like, I get it, but at the same time, you're fighting against a tidal wave. It's not going to happen. You're not going to stop it. And attempting to murder someone to stop it is ridiculous. So this Daniel Moreno-Gama had made comments about Luigiing, as they put it. The Luigi Mangione moment is how I refer to it. America's Mangione moment has totally set people off, and it was one of the major trigger points for this communist kind of mentality that people are developing, this anti-capitalist, I can just do whatever I want if I get angry, it's okay because they're billionaires, they deserve it, that kind of mentality. So this guy allegedly threw a Molotov cocktail at Altman's San Francisco house on Friday, and there's a lot of people defending him for doing it and saying that it's totally okay. It's totally okay because rich people bad. Luigiing some tech CEOs is how he put it. And then how do they go on to say it? Where is it? Moreno-Gama's defense team stated that he is a deeply intelligent and peaceful young man who was suffering from a mental crisis during the incident. Well, right then and there, we know he's going to get off scot-free, don't we? All you have to do is say mental health, and everything goes away. God, we live in such a weak society, and it's not even just the USA. It's the West in general. This whole acceptance that everyone has a mental health problem, and no matter what they do, you should forgive them. It's ridiculous. And what's baffling is that it's something that's very, very decidedly from the left, which isn't to say that people on the right aren't in favor of this as well. But the left then makes fun of Christianity's forgiveness, even though the forgiveness of Christianity is like the greatest thing about the religion. It's one of the reasons why it's led the white world, to such a positive situation. We could have ended up like the Islamic world. If you think that's better, then, well, take a trip over there. The forgiveness of Christianity has led the world to a good position, I think. And the left likes to criticize that, like you can just do whatever you want and pray for forgiveness. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, but with mental health, that seems to be how it works. It's just a magical spell. You can say, well, I had mental health, so blah, 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 and then you get out of prison, and then the next day you do something horrible. And God, they're always saying, well, they're a kind soul, they're intelligent, they were just in a little bit of a crisis. Yeah, right. Well, Sam Altman's response I found hilarious. The response was, a lot of the criticism of our industry comes from the sincere concern about the incredibly high stakes of this technology. This is quite valid, and we welcome good faith criticism and debate. I empathize with anti-technology sentiments, and clearly technology isn't always good for everyone, Altman said. While we have that debate, we should de-escalate the rhetoric and tactics and try to have fewer explosions in fewer homes, figuratively and literally. Peak response, totally agree, especially the humor aspect of it I liked. It almost sounds like that's written by AI, and if it was, I'd be even happier, honestly. That would be just absolutely peak cinema, but it reminds me of this, which happened 10 days ago, as of me recording, or 10 or 11 days ago, where some guy got mad, Kamel Abdul Karim, which I've highlighted here because I was going to forget it. Kamel Abdul Karim, he burned down a 1.2 million square foot tissue paper warehouse, which he didn't even work for this company. He was like a third-party contractor, because They just didn't pay me enough to live. They should have just paid me enough to effing live. They should have just paid me enough to effing live. He said it over and over and over again. All the people he screwed over, all the jobs he cost people just like him who had the same job as him, all of those people screwed over by this guy. Not to mention he burned down a warehouse worth like $500 million. He torched the entire area, all the smoke, all the ash, everything that infected everything around it, all the people's houses that got smoked out, all because this guy got angry that he thought he deserved more, basically. He was mad that he wasn't part of the 1%. And then 3 days after that, Luis Javier Gallegos Jr., a 28-year-old man, also in California, I believe, I think it's like the same area, he burns down a mall. I don't know if he burned it all the way down. It was a 1 million square foot mall that he was lighting things on fire. There's a picture of it there with him seemingly getting tased and pinned down, but you can see the fire in the background. This, again, like, I couldn't find a motive for this guy, but presumably it's the same thing, and presumably he was inspired by what happened just a few days beforehand. People who just get mad and decide that they're gonna take what's theirs, and if they can't get it, then they're gonna make other people suffer. These are people who failed at capitalism. And capitalism is about wanting to do better, not wanting to have everything for free. If you're not going to try, then you're going to fail in a capitalist world. And there's no problem with being a construction worker or a janitor or something. It's not an insult. Of course, people want enough to just live, but people's definitions of just live vary wildly, it would seem. Some people think that it means giving all of the money you have to an OF girl, or having 20 different subscriptions to video games and streaming sites, and then you should still be able to buy as many Twinkies and Coca-Cola as you want. And like, that's not really just living at that point, really. That's engaging in a lot of luxury, along with paying your rent and food and everything. Like, just living it's like saying reproductive freedom when you actually mean abortion. It's a lie. It's a guise. So this kind of led me to a Substack from Jermaine Fowler, where this guy, he was covering a lot of these stories all at once with this article. It's kind of funny to me. He's starting with the warehouse fire in Ontario, California, and he's just going back and forth of the argument. He calls it an argument, as if burning down someone else's property is something that you can make an argument for. It's a categorical crime. There's nothing that justifies it. Getting angry doesn't justify it, but he's calling it an argument. And what he does in seemingly all of his articles is he starts with some modern atrocity that's happening, then he dips into the past, usually overseas. So here he's talking about Gloucestershire, England, from 1766, and then he goes back into the modern times and talks about how awful capitalist America is. He also talks about how awful, just generalizes how awful men are, white people are, Christianity is. It's a lot of like very common left-leaning mentalities. And here at the end of this particular article about the fires being, the warehouse and the mall being burned down, he's talking about what the person said. At the very end, he's talking about what the guy said while he was burning the warehouse down. All you had to do was pay us enough to effing live. That's over and over again. That's all he said. And he said millions of people, Jermaine said millions of people understood the sentence immediately because they had said versions of it themselves, at kitchen tables and parking lots after shifts, subtracting rent from the number on the stub and arriving to the same answer every time. The granaries that burn in Gloucestershire, England are in the history books now. The magistrates called it crime. The crowd calls it justice. All you had to do was pay them enough to live. So it seems like he's defending this to me. He's defending people getting mad and burning down other people's property, taking other people's jobs away from them. The other people had those jobs, and he's ruined that for them. People who might have like breathing issues or whatever, now living in a cloud of smoke, of toilet paper that's gone up in flames. He's somehow justifying this. And it's not just that as well. He's talking about Altman getting nuked here as well. Like this is completely relevant because he's talking about all of these things happening, and he's trying to sanitize it by saying, well, the people are mad because they weren't getting enough money. The last line in the article is all you had to do was pay them enough to live, echoing exactly what the guy said while he was burning down that warehouse. The very next line on this page is, I need your paid support. My man, are you serious? I mean, is that communism? Good Lord. No corporation funds this, no advertisers, no one tells me what I can or cannot say. That independence has a cost. Dude, you used Google to look at some journalism and then basically just rephrased what they said about these stories and you put it on a Substack. And then you're charging for it. He's the 9th bestseller in the history division on Substack. So I thought I'd look at a couple more of his things. So here's one from about AI, which I thought was relevant considering the Sam Altman thing. And also a lot of M dashes there. A lot of M dashes in that article about AI. Well, moving on. Here's one about ICE bad. Yep, this is about ICE bad, calling the government bad, calling them evil, saying that they're murderers and such. And again, it's back and forwards here. Here's 1920. It's always with him, like maybe it's just his methodology or something. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to know literally everything about history in order to constantly go from modern stuff to old things. A lot of it from ancient world, a lot of it from like other nations across the sea. But this is what he does. Like I said, he starts from modern, he goes to the past, then he comes back to modern. Here's one where he's again talking about men assaulting women. I don't know why he needed to specify this is a black woman and her white fiance. I don't know why he needed to specify this is an 18-year-old stepsister. God's forgiveness. Why did you need to mention that? Is this still just a political hit job, maybe? I mean, it seems to be. Like your entire channel here seems to be just anti-capitalist, anti-white, anti-male, anti-anything America, anti-Christianity. And again, you start with the modern stuff, and then you go to ancient Nordic stuff, talking about Zeus and the Greek pantheon for some reason. And then it comes back around. I have no idea why this guy keeps doing that. Again, like maybe it's just something he likes to do. But then again, there is all these M dashes here. Well, on this story about AI, going to the Nixon moment in 1969, where it's talking about a proposed family assistance plan, which guaranteed an income floor for every American family. It was passed by the House of Representatives, but it died on the Senate floor. Now, this is mostly, according to him, mostly to blame for the senator, Russell Long of Louisiana, who had enough pull to get it killed, get it buried. And the stated reason is that the floor would allow for poor workers to be more selective about the jobs they took. And he wants you to sit with that sentence. The floor would allow poor workers to be more selective. Well, what does that mean exactly? Poor workers being more selective. Now, did coal miners have a whole lot of selection in their life? No. Did farmers? Did people working in like quarries or whatever anywhere in the world? Like there's not a whole lot of jobs historically, you know. And poor people, they've never really had much of a choice, ever, and they never will. It's just the way that it is. If you look at any country, any type of government, you're going to see the same thing, at least until the government implodes, like in the case of communism. So if you were to look at like a caste system, for instance, like in Africa or in Western Asia, Middle East, whatever, then those caste systems, you still have a bottom rung of people performing minimum wage jobs, right? They're doing the bare minimum, unskilled labor, whatever. So what exactly is being more selective? You can choose between being a garbage man or being a janitor. You could choose between working at McDonald's and working at Burger King. It's not like you have some great choice like, oh, well, you know, maybe I want to be a doctor or maybe I want to be a NASCAR driver. Like, no, you don't really have much of a choice. There's not really much selection to be offered. Now, what's interesting is that it's the same thing in capitalism as it is in a caste society. The difference is that in a capitalist society, you can, especially if you apply yourself, and even more so now with the internet and with books and with open libraries and stuff, everyone has the capacity to elevate themselves. So in capitalism, you can climb up. You can be better. Or you can be the guy who burns down the factory because you got mad that you didn't get what you wanted, because you didn't get enough to just live. You can be one of two things. In a caste system, you can't. In communism, you can't. You can never be the top 1% in those. You can never climb up. That's why capitalism is good. It's why it's the best it's going to get. I'm not saying it's perfect. It's not perfect. But given all the choices, it's really the best humanity has to offer, because you can't have communism. In a communistic world, in a communistic government, people will always just... People are rats. They always do what's best for them, and they screw over other people. So when there's not any rules and regulations forcing people to live in certain ways, they just end up taking advantage of everything else, and it falls apart. And that's what happens with communism. Capitalism floats because people can do things, people who apply themselves, they can succeed. they can succeed and they can make it better for their own life and for the lives of the people they love, people around them. Maybe they can actually create something useful. And for the useless people, they end up as doing whatever. And again, it's not like it's a bad thing to be a construction worker or a janitor or something. Not everyone has some crazy aspirations, but you have to understand that the fallout of having a low-paying job is that you can't just enjoy every luxury. So all of this, like, you should have just paid me enough to live, whatever, like, you were living well enough up until that point, and then suddenly something snapped. I mean, what was it exactly? Are you going to complain about medical expenses or something? Like, you can't just burn things down because you got angry. You can't just say, you should have just paid me enough to effing live over and over and over again. That's it. That's the only argument the guy had. He that was his magnum opus, man. Imagine you're going to go to prison and you put that on Instagram, I think it was, or I think his friend uploaded it. I don't remember exactly. And that's it. That's all he had to say. That's the only thing the guy had to say, just chanting that over and over again. What a genius. And then here's, of course, Reddit. Now, this is where I actually saw it all. As you can see, the Hill article is where I started. So this is it gets as low as it gets here, which isn't surprising. It's Reddit. Reddit is totally on board with murdering Sam Altman, it would seem. They're happy with it. I imagine this is becoming increasingly popular perspective. Yep, it is. Exactly. Years and years of messaging around learn to code as one of the last means of achieving stable middle-class life in America, and now there is a strong likelihood most of those jobs will be replaced while AI CEOs brag about it. And that's the problem, is it? That other people told you that you should learn to code to get a good job, and then technology advanced, and that fell through. And that's the fault of Sam Altman, as if he was the one who created AI or something. I mean, was he? Was he like the only person who's responsible? If anything, society at large seems to be greatly underreacting to the devastation that these CEOs psychopaths have and are planning to create. Psychopaths. Yes, that's right. They're psychopaths because they're creating AI. Man who works making the working class obsolete gets attacked by members of working class, and we're meant to feel sorry for Altman in this scenario? Our billionaire-owned media says yes. So this person is saying not only is Sam Altman evil, the media, which is owned by the billionaires, and also the billionaires that own the media, are also evil. So they're basically saying that all of them need to be attacked, right? And loads of people agreeing with it. After the death of the healthcare CEO, when the entire media apparatus was pushing down our throats, poor him and his family saw that no one gave a shit, and they pulled that shit quick. So that's not true, though. Lots of people cared, just like lots of people cared when Kirk died. It's the Redditors that didn't care. The Redditors who were gleefully dancing on the graves of these people because the Redditors are evil. The Redditors are the ones who think that they are allowed to do whatever they want when they get angry. It's very, very difficult to feel sympathy towards this man. Be careful what you post. They're tracking this very closely. I'm not afraid of them, and neither should you be. You should be. You should be actually worried about talking about glorifying murder and glorifying burning down other people's property. You should be afraid of that. If you're not afraid of that, then you truly live in a no-trust society, and part of that is you. You're basically saying that the government shouldn't be allowed to punish you for incentivizing violence and destruction. And that destruction and violence are good things that people should want to do. Has Sam Altman ever considered donating most of his wealth and then just living life comfortably and leaving us the F alone? No, then I don't see the problem. You don't see the problem in murdering someone, and you have to stipulate that he has to donate most of his wealth, although you didn't even specify to who. I'm guessing you. I'm guessing you want him to donate it to you. It's just complete insanity, these people. And it's not just Reddit, but Reddit is such a massive vector for information, for left-wing information. I mean, what was the number again? It's like 100 times more left-wing stuff than right-wing stuff. I think it's actually more than that. But yeah, the left-wing stuff is so much more outnumbering the right-wing on Reddit that it's a complete echo chamber. It's the definition of an echo chamber. And they'll sit here and cry, "Oh, X is owned by the right-wing," and Reddit calls itself the front page of the internet, the heart of the internet, and it's got way more left-wing posts than the right-wing posts. And what do these posts say? Eat the rich. We didn't start the fire. You did, though. You literally did. Left-wingisms went hyperbolic, and then the right-wing reacted. And all of this is going to lead down one path. And it's very obvious. Like, Trump was elected because of these people who they exacerbated everything. The left wing exacerbated everything. They demanded that kids be trans and non-binary and give them puberty blockers and double mastectomies and blah, 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 blah. And trans athletes and men or transgendered women are women, and men can get pregnant and men can give birth and men can menstruate. They insisted on all of these things and many, many other weird things as well. And that exacerbated the right wing. And really, the left wing did far more than the right wing did to elect Trump, because the left wing pushed all of the sane people away from the left, and they were like, well, damn, I'm not going to vote for Kamala. She just said she was going to give women the right to execute my baby, and I have no control over it. Why would I vote for the Democrats when they plan on doing that? I mean, it's totally the left's fault. We didn't start the fire. Get out of here. You totally did start the fire. I don't mean, maybe not entirely for capitalism, but if you are going to blame Trump for everything, if you're going to blame Trump for ruining the country and for where we are right now, you elected Trump. The left elected Trump. They did. And now, here we are with all of you people demanding violence, demanding companies be burned to the ground, demanding CEOs be executed in cold blood. Where do you think it's going to go? You keep calling them a fascist dictator. Where do you think you're pushing them? Just like how you got Trump elected, you are pushing us closer to censorship on the internet whenever you demand murder, whenever you incite violence. You are pushing us closer to an authoritarian dictatorship whenever you say these things, whenever you do these things. Every couple of days, someone's burning down a $500 million warehouse because they got angry at a CEO. Some nobody who wishes they were part of the 1% got angry that they weren't part of the 1% and they decided to burn down someone else's property. That's not how the world works. And it's just going to get worse if they keep doing this. Like that one dude said, I'm not afraid of them and you shouldn't be afraid either. But you should be. You should be afraid to say those things. That is what creates a high-trust society. Treating other people as if they're humans. And you can get mad at the billionaire CEO for not treating you as a human, but that doesn't mean you have the right to ruin everyone else's lives all around you. You're ruining the lives of everyone else who works at that factory, people just like you, destroying all of their vehicles, destroying everything around you, smoke scorching their houses, ash falling all over the place, people who have breathing issues. I mean, babies, God, like, they don't care. They don't care about anything besides getting their revenge. Except that one guy, Kamel, he didn't even work for the Kleenex company or whatever it was, the tissue company. He didn't even work for them. He was like a third-party contractor. The dude lighting up the mall, it's a mall. He didn't work for every single company in the mall. They don't care. They just want to destroy things. That's it. They want to be the 1%. They want to be the dictator. Frankly, I think any of these people who think that they should be allowed to just destroy other people's properties, to take from them whatever, these people who feel like they are entitled to more than they have, they should just be given the question, like, do you love America or not? And if they say no, if they say they hate America, if they're happy to admit that, just send them over to Nigeria or something. So let them enjoy a caste system. Then you can see what being at the bottom is really like. A place where you cannot bring yourself back up from it. You cannot climb up to anywhere higher. Maybe then, they'll appreciate capitalism. Because right now, they just want to destroy it. They want to destroy America. They want to destroy what it is and make it something that's more fitting for them. And in order to do that, they're making enemies. They're making enemies out of white people, out of men, out of Christians, out of whoever they can, out of anyone they perceive as the villain, as the people in power. They're going to make them into an enemy. It's very clear that's what they're doing, the Democrats specifically. I don't want to be a slave to the CEOs any more than anyone else does, but you can't just go around burning down their warehouses when you get a bit angry, people. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, please do the YouTube things.